And maybe with nanotech and terrorism and some guy being able to put 2 pin drops in a water supply and wipe out a city, all of a sudden, just looking at a vampire or a zombie is just, it's comfortable fear versus the really terrifying new one we don't quite understand.
Also with vampires, vampires, I heard just recently that Americans are really putting higher priority on fame. And so there's an immortality that everybody's driving towards. All this reality stuff, those are people just trying to get immortality by being on on shows and stuff like that. And it seems like the whole country is getting
I just wanted to
more
point out
fame.
one small little thing that we've probably forgotten, and that was zombies haven't always been used in horror movies. Let's not forget the Abbott and Costello movie with
The
monsters
Mummy.
and zombies were a big,
Right.
huge part of it, and it was all done for fun. So.
We have an audience member question.
I'm the hair. The un-PC people have made it very hard to deal with bigotry and prejudice. The vampire, although the good vampire is a way of dealing with that sort of thing without being afraid you're going to be accused of being prejudiced, because you talk about prejudice towards one thing, and they say, well, then you're prejudiced against another thing. But with vampires, you can deal with it without having that problem.
Well, not necessarily, because if you look at the show Angel, if he falls in love, he becomes his evil side again.
Yeah.
And if he stays cursed, he's good, and he does things to help people. So, I mean, you have that dichotomy between the 2 different characters he plays, which can snap at any moment if he falls in love with somebody, and there's always that threat. So, I mean, you either look at the more modern vampire, which is a love interest, a sexy guy that the women are all swooning over, and you look at the one who's in angst over which part of his personality is he going to be portraying at any given time.
I remember, Eitan, you had, and if you can recall it for us, an interesting insight as to why vampires were suddenly becoming popular, or how they emerged as a popular figure in literature.
Well, vampires have never really gone away from us ever since the 1880s when Bram Stoker wrote Dracula.
No, not that one. The one with the minivan and the bus and the beach bunnies, but I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I have to do it. I'm his brother.
Yeah.
It's in the contract.
Anyways, you understand, the vampire, there's always been some form of blood-sucking creature out there, but it wasn't particularly popular or scary in modern mythology. And by modern, I mean in the past 2,000 years. The big scary creature was the werewolf, was the dryad, was the troll under the bridge. Look at Hansel and Gretel. All that scary crap's in the forest. Look at all the grim fairy tales. There ain't nothing in the city you really got to be afraid of. It's when you leave going to the country, the forest, the town, then all that crap's going to fall on your head. The problem is, by the 1880s, a great number of people, and all the influential people, and all the people making the news and doing stuff, didn't live in the little towns anymore. They lived in the city. And who'd give a crap about a werewolf in the city? If a werewolf showed up in a city, 10,000 people would show up and beat the living crap out of him. And the troll under the bridge, or the elf, or the dwarf, who cared? So you needed a new monster. And that's when Bram Stoker came along and gave us Dracula. And the vampire he created was the perfect urban monster. He dresses well, he talks well, he walks down the street, he goes into the restaurant, he will walk into your home, and he will greet you there. And because we are now an urban society, most of the other monsters go away, but the vampire just keeps staying with us. In some ways, the vampire gets stronger. Mummy? Alright, Brandon Fraser made a good movie, but compared to the vampire thing, not even close. Werewolves? Alright, I loved American Werewolf in London, Paris could have done without, but 15 vampire movies for almost every other monster movie that gets made. But the zombies are a subconscious nightmare. Zombies are what happen when everything falls apart. And we're always afraid, in the back of our mind, that everything's going to fall apart. From Omega Man, from Vincent Price doing it,
Mad Max,
all the way up to I Am Legend. We love the movies. Come on, what movie's coming out in November? I can't wait to see it. Where everything falls apart. 2012.
7?
That too. 2012. We love the disaster movies, but the zombie is our monster that makes everything fall apart. The vampire is the monster that lives with us in our cities at all times.
Well, the zombie keeps coming. You can shoot it; it keeps coming. You can cut it with a knife; it keeps coming, and crashing through the windows and the doors of your home. So yeah, it's a big part of fear and dealing with.
So, I think that goes a long way towards answering the question that I was thinking of, which is that I guess with the economic stress that we're having, with the notion that, like Eitan said, somebody could take, a vial full of ricin, or however it's pronounced, and
Ricin.
ricin?
Yes.
Whatever.
Ricin.
And kill thousands of people with it, I guess,
Ricin.
some way or another. It's in the contract that you can only interrupt me 5 times. You've got 1 left. 2. Whatever. So maybe that's what this is answering. That there's economic uncertainty. There's the prospect of terrorism. They're busting these guys left and right, and everybody's afraid of another 9/11. So zombies work into that. That actually makes sense to me. And I think to what the Hare said, it also makes a certain amount of sense that a vampire can be politically incorrect for us. He takes his women. He does what he wants.
Or she.
Or she. And that almost fits into us needing to have something to express what we might be feeling inside but not be allowed to express outside. So, and there's certainly more of that PC now. Okay, well, I guess we wrap that one up.